Despite all its best efforts to come across as cool and edgy, the gameplay experience that Shadow the Hedgehog provides is mostly a hilarious and ridiculous one.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
It goes out of its way to provide what might actually be called a dramatic and compelling story, full of tons of parallels to real-world, very heavy themes like religion and war.
Willing to sacrifice their own when overcome by greed.
But when this epic and dramatic series of events is all revolving around a small mammal with a loaded firearm, it gets a little hard to take any of it too seriously. The story, as it goes, picks up right after the events of Sonic Adventure 2 when Shadow falls from space back to Earth. They go for the whole amnesia trope with Shadow unable to remember anything but the name Shadow, Maria, and some of the events of the Space Colony arc, all the while unable to remember why he's here or why he's plagued by these memories.
Maria!
At this point, we begin to see black aliens descend from the sky as their leader, a horned demon named Black Doom, approaches us, tells us we are Shadow the Hedgehog and we owe him $20. Shadow just sort of takes his word for it, agrees to do what he says, and that starts us off on the first level.
The only way I'm gonna get the secrets to my past is to get those Chaos Emeralds.
Now, if the intro cutscene didn't emphasize the gun violence to you enough, before you even hit the ground and get to start running the way you'd expect, you see a bunch of explosions as well as the police having a shootout with these black aliens. To that end, the general pace of this game overall is slowed down compared to every other Sonic game, as again, the emphasis is on the firearms and the vehicles and all the extra stuff that you get to do as Shadow, and not just running around like Sonic does. Which, no worries, just because this is Shadow the Hedgehog doesn't mean you won't be seeing plenty of Sonic's dumbass throughout the whole game. Sonic merely acts as a companion and guide in this level, leading you to the first Chaos Emerald, but beyond that you actually have the choice of a companion. You're reunited with Black Doom shortly after, and he replaces Sonic as your companion character, and this introduces players to the choice and alignment mechanic that is critical to the entire game's story. With every mission, you're given the choice to follow one of two companions, each leading you down a lawful or evil alignment, or you can go down a neutral alignment by just siding with yourself and trying to find out your memories on your own. Which on the surface does sound like a very fun and in-depth dynamic, but because there are only so many mission variations, and because the different paths as well as the levels associated are all relegated to choices made in the stages prior, it's impossible to see more than a singular lineup of stages in a singular playthrough. You have to replay the game if you want to see all the different stages as well as all the different endings. Which the different endings make it even worse, because now instead of just having to do multiple playthroughs to reach multiple different final stages, you have to replay those same paths up to those same final stages to get the alternate endings now as well, because if the first time you did the lawful alignment, the second time you're going to have to do the evil alignment to get the corresponding boss fight and ending. The story unfolds largely in the same way regardless of your alignment. The specific details might change, and of course the stages in between will be different, but no matter what, you'll continue to get more and more Chaos Emeralds, and with it your memories of Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 on the Nintendo GameCube will slowly come back to you. Poor pacing aside, most of these individual stages can actually be pretty fun to play through. As mentioned, there's a wide variety of both human and alien weaponry for the player to choose from, as well as NPCs of either alignment to use those weapons on. Some stages have vehicles you can ride around in, others have special interactables that you can engage with, and absolutely all of them have a companion character or two walking around to tell you something stupid or otherwise self-explanatory. But again, as fun as it may be to harass NPCs or just blatantly disregard whatever it is your companion's yelling at you to do,
Stop attacking the good guy!
with the focus of these stages and the missions being something other than just blast through the stage as fast as possible, the missions, regardless of the objectives, always end up feeling cumbersome and way too slow. Even from stage 1, your choices other than just finishing the stage and getting the Chaos Emerald are to kill either 35 humans or 45 of the black aliens. In most cases it's not only faster, but it feels the most like a Sonic game to just blast your way as fast as possible to the end of the stage. The enemy NPCs are sort of incompetent and won't really be able to do any actual damage to you most of the time, so the only real danger is falling off the stage. Dying just sends you back to a checkpoint, which isn't the worst thing, but if you run out of lives, of course you get a game over and you have to start the entire level again. Which really sucks if you were just an objective or two away from siding with good or evil for that mission. Companion characters, again, just follow you around talking your ear off. They don't aid you in combat at all.
You need to rescue the people being held by the gun soldiers in the laboratory.
This is going to be the final showdown, Shadow.
With nothing else within these stages being all that interesting outside of the keys scattered throughout the map. These keys are collected and used to open secret doors that are also hidden within the stage, but as for what's behind these doors, I could not be bothered to find out myself because I was just so tired of playing through these stages as it is. I didn't want to go through the extra trouble of also finding a bunch of secret items throughout. Some of these stages will end on a boss fight, which to be completely honest are the best paced segments of the entire game. The confined arenas help to emphasize the more slow and controlled pace of the game. There's not as much random stuff in your way, so combat's a lot cleaner. And the overall epic nature of these encounters adds a new dynamic not only to the storytelling aspect of the game, but it also helps to highlight new gameplay features like the chaos energy mechanic that we haven't mentioned up until now. Shadow has 2 different chaos meters that can be filled up during gameplay or during boss encounters. Siding with the good guys fills your blue meter and lets you use chaos control to blast through the stage at rapid speed, while aligning with evil gives you access to the chaos blast, which is just basically a large-scale AoE attack, which can be used more than once on a full meter, so it can be very useful depending on how fast you can move around with it. These meters again are also present during boss fights, but because you've already aligned with good or evil by the time you've started this boss encounter, you can only fill up one meter or the other. So if you've already sided with evil for this encounter, then you'll only be able to use the chaos blast, whereas fighting alongside the good guys means you can only use chaos control, which does work a little bit differently during a boss encounter since there isn't a track for the character to follow. Instead, you just get a full DO time stop, allowing you to do a bunch of damage to the boss while it's unable to move, or even just recover health in an emergency. Once you beat the final boss of whatever story route you ended up on, you get your credit roll and you get booted right back to the main menu so that you can start a new game and do it all over again. And while we're on the credit roll, that and the intro cutscene are among some of the most hilarious things that I was talking about with this game. I get that they were going for a more hardcore black metal kind of sound, but the lyrics for one are just really corny. And again, the fact that this all revolves around a rodent with a gun just kills me every time. It just takes it out of me. The fact that I can always come back at this game, laugh at the corny dialogue and cutscenes, or just the fact that it's Shadow the Hedgehog on a motorcycle with a gun, makes what is otherwise a terrible gameplay experience across the board and turns it into something genuinely very charming.
And if you find Shadow with the black aliens, then kill them all.
But sir,
I gave you an order, soldier.
This planet was once saved from tyranny and annihilation by you 2 heroes.
That's not to say that any of these cutscenes or interactions are good per se, but even if they miss their mark, they're entertaining by way of you just being able to make fun of them, which is actually a lot like Rogue Ops. Being an M-rated title, it tried really hard to be gritty and edgy, but similarly comes across as corny and a little nonsensical. And while Rogue Ops might not actually have anything to do with Shadow the Hedgehog at all, it is a game that I have played and uploaded to the channel, and you should watch that alongside all the other things that I've played and uploaded to the channel, many of which also reference Rogue Ops. Why? I don't know. Go watch Rogue Ops, I guess. Don't go watch adjacent or related Sonic content on my channel, no. Go watch Rogue Ops. Go watch Rogue Ops. Give me $10. Go click on some stuff because there's a lot to see. Anyway, I've milked this long enough and now the video's over.